All right, what's up, guys? Got to do the obligatory thumbnails for this one. I think it would be like despondent, sad. I could fake cry. I've done that when picking up girls. It's kind of pretentious, but it's something I just happen to enjoy is reciting. I used to do some acting, so I'll recite the to be or not to be speech, but I'll get myself to tear up to be or not to be. That is the question. Just just know what I mean, that's a little exaggerated, but I'll actually tear up doing it for the effect. So that's the thumbnail, and then the after succeeding, and getting a girlfriend, I would be happy. It would be gay all of a sudden. Do I have an increasing number of virgin clients? I don't think I've noticed a trend in that. That's hard to the numbers are not high enough to really know, right? So the oldest virgin, I think, like in an actual like one-on-one or boot camp kind of situation, probably 28, I think, maybe 30, something like that. Now I got to do the happy thumbnail. I can't, I can't do it. Now, maybe I have a girlfriend. I'm like kissing her. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to go with that. But in this video, I'm going to talk about what I would do if I were a 19-year-old with crippling social anxiety to get a girlfriend. Someone who, well, quite frankly, and you might be wondering, why would I make that video? Because that's who I was. I was a 19-year-old virgin who hadn't even kissed a girl with crippling diagnosed panic disorder and social anxiety. And panic disorder is even worse. That's the most intense, most extreme form of anxiety. My anxiety was so bad the first time that I tried to approach girls at a mall. I called an ambulance. I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was dying. I've called ambulances several times because I had anxiety attacks where I had full-on vertigo and just crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff. And I was certain. I've even called my own mother and told her like my last words that she shouldn't blame this on herself, that I died. She did a good job. That is the level of anxiety I had. And that would only be multiplied when talking to girls. So this video, the point is, I was confused. I was frustrated. I didn't know how to turn my life around. I had no idea. And so I tried a lot of different things, a lot of different strategies to just get a girlfriend. That's really all I wanted, was to get a girlfriend, to have intimacy, to be someone with a social life. And most of what I tried either did not help or completely backfired. Yo, what is up? So it either did not work or it completely backfired and made my situation worse. And in this video, I'm going to talk about knowing what I know now. Knowing what I know now, 13 years later, what I would tell that 19-year-old loser version of myself that has crippling anxiety, that can't approach a girl to save his life, that has gone on one date and she patted him on the back, is like, I see you as a friend. That's who I was, what I would do. And you might think I'm going to tell you some pickup artist advice, just go approach a lot of girls, just start going out regularly. It's not what I would tell them. That might be part of it, but that is not the main thing I would tell someone who's really struggling, who does not have a dating life where they have opportunities, where they feel like they have options to choose from, where there's just women in their lives that, they could date if they wanted to, where you're feeling shy, you don't know how to make a move, you're worried about getting rejected, you're worried about toxic masculinity, and what if I make a move, I'll get me too'd, if I try to kiss a girl, all that kind of shit going through your head. If you're at the point where you just have no options, it's not just about going out and approaching women. It's not just about getting a better online dating profile. It's about your self-esteem in general. It's about your lifestyle in general. So the first advice I would give to that version of myself is not to start by being like, I'm going to approach a girl every day, I'm going to ask girls out. It's not that. The first thing I would tell them is that you need to get your life together in general. Is that you need to change your entire lifestyle, your way of thinking, and get a social life. And stop having just one friend who you play World of Warcraft with. Or maybe today it'd be, what's the new World of Warcraft? League of Legends, that's even old now. But whatever the addictive video game people are playing. I'd tell that person to stop spending so much time playing video games and to instead develop certain habits, to change their social situation dramatically. So I would tell them to join things like I was interested in guitar, start learning guitar. I was interested in MMA, go to an MMA gym. I was interested in what are other things? Stand up comedy, public speaking, join Toastmasters, join clubs, join yoga classes. That's a great one because yoga is good for you. It's good for your emotional and physical health. And also, there's a lot of hot women there. And they're hot women who tend to be high quality in the sense that they're grounded, they're centered, they're feminine, they're graceful, they have amazing bodies. Like you're more likely to meet the kind of women that you'd want to date anyway in yoga classes. And you're going to interact with people in these kinds of situations, in these kinds of clubs, in MMA, if you're learning an instrument in a class, or you could just go to a community college class, for example, you're going to be interacting with more people. So I would make sure my lifestyle is packed with more stuff that I'm doing that is social, that is putting myself out there. And just being in these yoga classes, for examples, there's conversations are going to happen. You're going to start talking to girls. You're going to start getting more comfortable. And my goal would not be, I'm going to the yoga class to get laid, to make one of them my girlfriend. I'm good. No, it's just to put myself out there, to be more social, and to develop hobbies, to develop a lifestyle where I feel like my life is not just in my room, like, looking at a computer in a basement, right? Not hiding in a basement, antisocial, and just kind of retracting. It's about, instead of retracting, expanding, right? To have a more expansive lifestyle, to go on hikes, to go on these kinds of things. I would tell them to do that. That's the first thing. I would tell them to develop good habits in general, to read more, right? Read stuff that's like philosophy, psychology, self-improvement. I would tell them to develop hobbies like whether it's learning an instrument, whatever, to meditate, to do yoga, even other like more obscure things that I think are helpful, like what's it called? Qigong, for example, to develop hobbies that are just good for your general well-being, doing things that make you feel better as a person. That would be the first advice, to get a balance. To go to the gym, of course, right? That would be a great one. To make sure that you're going to the gym, make sure you're going to the gym because it increases your testosterone. It makes you more confident. It makes you feel more attractive. It's going to help. All these things are going to help. And approaching women to get laid should not be your first goal, because if you're doing this, you're coming from a perspective like I was, where you have social anxiety, you're awkward, you're nervous, all that kind of shit. You start going out and trying to approach women, the chances of you burning out are very high. You try to go out to a bar every day and you're in this state. You try to go out and approach girls every day. This is your mindset. The chances of giving up are very, very high. The chances of feeling frustrated are very high. Instead, when it came to actually like approaching people, approaching girls, that kind of thing, I would start by telling myself for at least the 30 days where I'm going out and trying to meet people. And it could be on my college campus. It could be downtown. It could be at bars. It could be wherever. If I were to do that, and I do think that's a part of this, but if I were to do that, what I would tell them is that you're not even allowed to try to get laid at first. You're not allowed to try to pull girls, to try to make out with girls, none of that. And there's a few reasons for this. One is because if you're coming at this from the place of, I just want to get laid, I want to get something, I want to have sex, even if you succeed, it's not going to be satisfying. There's been times when I hooked up with girls that were like, a 9 or 10 by society standards, but my goal, my intention was just to feed my narcissism, ego, to do it to, feel cool about myself, not because I really had chemistry, not because there was real intimacy, a real connection. And that was not worthwhile. That was not meaningful. That just is empty and pointless. And I'm not saying one night stands are automatically pointless, but they're pointless if you didn't have some kind of connection. So focusing on that, even if you get laid, the experience is going to end up being hollow. It's not going to get you what you thought it would. It's not going to get you the happiness, the increase in self-esteem. It'll give you a narcissism dopamine hit, right? A feeling of like, I'm a badass. I got revenge on the high school girls that rejected me, but it's not going to be satisfying. Secondly, the women that are going to appreciate, who are going to find you attractive, if that's what you're doing, you're focused too much on what you want to get, are going to be lower quality. I don't mean physical attractiveness, but they're not going to be the kind of women that being around them, being with them, makes you feel good, right? That you actually feel enriched by the experience, is how I would put it. It's not going to be those women. It's going to be the women who are also takers, who want to use you, who are going to end up. And I've even known people who get laid all the fucking time, who pull hot girls all the time, who end up dating a girl with BPD who calls the cops on him, tries to get him arrested for a false charge. Luckily, she got caught lying many times. So it was, like the Johnny Depp situation where eventually it was clear it was false, but this still affected him. And this still happened to him. And he's still probably seeing that girl now. I stopped hanging out with that guy because of that situation. But it's not going to lead to anything good. And thirdly, if you're coming from the reason you're approaching people, the reason you're talking to girls is I want to get something, and you're focused on how do I go for the pull? How do I close? And you're doing that as someone who, and we're talking about someone who has social anxiety, someone who hasn't approached a lot of women, someone who's at a beginner phase, a beginner level, if you will. That person, if they are going to go for the pull, and they're not, how would I put this? Their energy is not going to be attractive until they learn how to focus on giving value, on offering value. That is what will make you most attractive. If you go up to girls, you want nothing from them. You're not trying to get laid. You don't need anything. You don't even need validation. You're just expressing yourself. You're just there to have a good time, to make their night better. That's your goal. That's your only intention. You're not even allowed to try to pull. If you do that, that's how you will become charismatic. That's how you become the person where women start chasing you and pursuing you and wanting to be around you. That's how you get there. That's the fast track to get there. You could also go through the standard way of doing things where you force, yourself to approach, and you're always trying to pull, and you're focused on the numbers and the spreadsheet, all that kind of shit, right? You're focused on what you can get, being a shark, always be closing ABC, Wolf of Wall Street, that kind of energy. You can succeed that way. But it's going to take a lot longer to develop. You're never going to develop true self-esteem, true confidence, because it's all about an exchange of getting something. That's your main goal. If you learn how to genuinely want to offer value, to approach a girl, and this is something the red pill is going to hate, because the red pill, they get enough validation anyway, just to give them a good experience, just to give them good emotions, then people will start treating you well in return. It's called the principle of reciprocity. It's been scientifically proven. You can look into it. So what that means is you're just going to become more attractive to women if you don't try to pull, you don't try to get laid, you're not focused on what you can take. You're just doing it to offer value. Now, I'm not saying eventually, over time, you don't get to a point where you learn, all right, there's clearly chemistry. How do I make this happen? How do I take her home? How do I lead things forward? Eventually, you want to do that. But I would start off by learning, get to a point where you can genuinely have fun going out to a bar, to a club, wherever, meeting women, talking to people, socializing, but without getting anything, without getting numbers, without getting laid, without any of that. Get to that point first. And when that's something that's genuinely your default, that's easy for you, you can go out and just have a good time. Then, and only then, would I worry about, all right, how do I go for the close when there is a connection, when there is chemistry? And in the short term, you might get less results, but when you do get results, they're going to be much better. The experiences are going to be more enjoyable because they're based on real chemistry, not on just how do I skeezily try to, get something. Getting laid is always the goal. Another hole is another goal. That mindset, it's going to be from a mindset of when there's just real chemistry, of course, something's going to happen. And I found that as I've gotten more into that mindset, that way of thinking, it's surprisingly often that women will make the first move. Surprisingly often, women will invite you home, right? It's just on. It's just clearly on. They feel it. You're not trying to take, you're just expressing yourself. And then nature takes its course, basically. You'll find that. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't learn to be assertive, to go for what you want. But at first, I would take a break. I wouldn't start with that. I wouldn't start with being a hard closer, how to pull. No, I would learn how to offer value. What's up, Mike? Okay, now is there anything else I would tell that version of myself? And one thing I want to mention is this video is specifically for someone who's a virgin with social anxiety, someone who's really struggling. But this is going to apply to anyone who doesn't have a dating life of abundance, a dating life where they have a lot of options. So anyone who's struggling, it's not going to be as bad as it is for that version of that old version of myself who was a 19-year-old virgin with literal social anxiety. Your situation, it's going to be easier, but the same advice applies. This applies to anyone who feels like it's hard for me to get a date. It's hard for me to meet a girl I really like. So it's very important that I mention that. That's why I'm making this video. It's not just for virgins or just for people with crippling social anxiety. It's for anyone who wants to have more abundance. And so when it comes to how do you get over approach anxiety, right? That's going to be very difficult when it comes to actually approaching women outside the lifestyle stuff. How do you get over that? What you need to do is something called gradual exposure therapy. Gradual exposure. And what gradual exposure means is instead of telling yourself, okay, I've never approached a girl, I'm going to go out, approach 10 girls today. That's what I did. That's what a lot of pickup courses, even there's one I bought called The Hot Seat at Home. It told beginners who've never approached a girl, all right, you're going to approach 10 girls every day, 7 days a week. And next week, you're going to do 15. You're also going to do these 4 things. That's my Owen Cook impression. But it was his course. There's a lot of great content in that course. But that strategy, no way. Like very, very few beginners are going to do that, are going to be able to follow through with that level of willpower required without burning out. So you want to start small and build on wins. Now, if you want an exact step-by-step guide for how to do that, for how to get from someone who can't approach, who has been watching videos, but they can't get themselves to take action in the real world, then make sure to get my online course, The Spark, because it includes a 30-day challenge, which has 2 versions. One, which is for someone who's never approached a girl or hasn't approached a girl recently. And it gives you the exact steps to overcome approach anxiety and to do that first approach, because that's the hardest fucking part, is that first approach. So it shows you exactly how to do that, because I took a challenge. It was the Neil Strauss. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it was a Neil Strauss pickup challenge. And I gave up after day 3 because it was too hard for someone who was a complete beginner who had never approached a girl. So this is designed specifically to work for you, even if that is where you're at, even if the idea of approaching a girl is like overwhelming, you've never done it in your life. And you've never done that in your life. But it also has another version, which is for people who have already been able to approach, who are already at a point where they can go up and talk to girls, but they're not getting dates or results or whatever, and how to move forward from there. So that's what I would do in terms of having an actual strategy that's step by step. But the general overarching principle is you need to lower your standards of what you consider a win. If you can get yourself to go out to a college campus, to a bar, downtown, wherever, somewhere where there's attractive women around, and you can get yourself to go around and try to talk to people, try to socialize, even if you fail and you can't even say hello because your anxiety is so intense. That was me. That's still a win. You have to give yourself credit for that, because it is hard to approach strangers. The fear of rejection is universal. And unless you've already been someone who's outgoing, already been someone who's an extrovert, it is going to be hard at first, because your whole life even think about doing a presentation in class. I remember how nervous everyone, including myself, especially myself, would get just doing a little stupid fucking science presentation to the class. It's nerve-wracking as hell. People would break down. Some people wouldn't even be able to do it. It was hilarious looking back. But that is human nature. The fear of rejection is universal, and going out and talking to strangers, that spikes your fear of rejection in a very intense, real way. You are making yourself vulnerable, and that is difficult. But if you slow it down and lower your standards for success at first and build on little wins, even just being able to say hi to people as they walk by, complimenting a girl as she walks by, and you're able to make a habit of actually going out and trying, even if you fail at first, the fact that you're going out and trying will eventually lead to success. And if you want to break that down into specific steps, then make sure then make sure to click the link. Then make sure to click the link below to get a copy of my online course, The Spark, which is 50% off right now. So it's literally only $7 and includes a 30-day challenge that is about the length of a book. It's something like 30,000 words, plus it has videos included. It is very well put together, very thought out, and very structured. So make sure to click the link below to learn more about that. But it's not just about going out and approaching. It's about changing your lifestyle in general. Because if you're someone who has no dating life whatsoever, I'm going to guess you spend a lot of time watching Netflix, watching YouTube videos, especially ones that aren't even valuable in some way, watching like video game shit. I'm going to guess you spend an average of 4 to 6 hours a day doing that kind of stuff. Chances are playing video games, just dirt mode, and that you don't have much of a social life, that you don't have clubs, or you're not going to yoga classes, or you're not doing stand up, or you're not a part of anything social. Right? It can even be workout classes in the gym. Things like that, where you just have an outgoing social life that becomes a part of who you are. That will make things 1,000 times easier, and that will increase your self-esteem drastically by developing good habits in terms of social habits, like the ones I just talked about, and also internal habits like meditating, yoga, things of that nature. Learning an instrument, reading, learning a language, developing skills, that will change how you feel about yourself, how you perceive yourself. You'll sense that you're making progress, that you are becoming the best version of yourself. You will have this sense of progress. There's a great quote by Nietzsche. What is happiness? Happiness is the feeling that power increases, that an obstacle has been overcome. And I think that is 100% true. So if every day you are increasing your personal power, you are overcoming obstacles, your self-esteem will increase, and the whole approaching women, the whole fear of rejection, that will be less of an obstacle. And I'm not saying use that as an excuse not to socialize, not to go out, not to approach. Do those things, but don't think that alone, when you're living your life in a derp state, when you're living your life consuming and having bad habits and just being a piece of shit, being the American stereotype of a couch potato, just if that's who you are, that's going to make it a lot more difficult. Do you want to be settled down? I have no problem with being 40 and still approaching. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to add? No, I think that's good. Do I want to settle down? Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know. There's a part of me that does. There's I guess a checklist that a girl would have to meet of qualities that are very rare. That if I did meet someone, I would be totally fine with settling down and being in a monogamous relationship with them. I'm not the biggest believer in open relationships. I think they're not necessarily inherently worse than monogamy, but I've never seen them not on some level fall apart and be toxic. That's what I've always seen. They always end up being toxic, especially a lot of pickup coaches be like, it's open for me, but you bitch, you got to submit and you have to only be with me and I'm allowed to be with other bitches. I've never seen that work. Yeah, a girl might tolerate it because she sees you as having a lot of value and she thinks you're hard to replace, but she's going to resent you. Like, duh, she's going to resent you. She's not going to feel that it's fair. She's going to feel that you're taking advantage of her in a certain level. And then she's going to act badly towards you. That's going to come out in the relationship. And then you're just having this awful relationship. That's what I've seen. I'm not saying it could never work. Maybe it does for some people, but that's what I've seen. And even doubly open relationships, the only way that can kind of work, and I still have never seen it work long-term for like a marriage, but if the girl is genuinely bisexual and you kind of have a thing where you both pick up girls together and it's a bonding experience, that can work for a year or two pretty well. But I don't think it, for marriage, having a family, if you have a family, you need stability. And I think monogamy is the way to go. And there's a part of me that wants a family. There's a part of me that thinks, look at the world. What direction is it going? Is there going to be World War III? Do I really want to have kids? Maybe not. Right. So it's hard to answer that question because I could go both ways. I see the value in having children, having a family, all that. I see it, but I also see a lot of fucking negatives too. Right. So that's the best I can do to answer your question. What is up, Adam? Is it the Adam Smith, the writer of the Dilbert comic book. Is that his name? Because that would be cool. All right, so I'm about to wrap up. I will. This is a good video, so I'm going to edit it and repost it on my main channel. There is a difference in direction that to a degree, I'm still giving dating advice, but there are certain aspects of the pickup community that I still have had in my own content that I think is ultimately more destructive than helpful. It does more harm than good. There's certain parts of it that I want to take out. I mean, even the terminology is so fucking cringe. I've always thought that. I don't use too much of it, like sets and all that kind of. It's not good. And plowing and like always, there's a lot of like, no matter what, if you get the close, that's a win. It's always about trying to get the close. Um, and always be pulling, and that's what a success is, as opposed to learning how to have healthy sexual relationships with women and how to have a win-win good experience, because that sounds cheesy, it sounds boring. As soon as I say that, half the people leave. I don't think that's entirely a coincidence, but even though that stuff is easier to market, I think that stuff, I want to get rid of certain elements of that. All right. So if anyone has any questions before I wrap up, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to go head out to a club because it is the porn star convention. Would you be happy getting 1 million subscribers as a pickup dating coach? I think by the time I got to 1 million subscribers, the channel would be more about general. Um, it would be about dating and pickup, but it would be more like, let's say, for example, Fresh and Fit, right? They talk about fitness, they talk about money, they talk about. I mean, I disagree with a lot of their values and their beliefs, but it'd be a more overall approach to improving your life, to men improving their life, being confident, being charismatic, social skills, dating. That'd be part of it, but it would also, I'd want to expand to other things, right? To making more money, to mental health, to self-esteem, to all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get to 1 million subscribers and it's just pickup, right? I want it to be a little more than that. I think that's where I'm at right now. That could always change, but I think the dating aspect is an important part of it, but it's not the whole picture. What convention? I don't. The adult AVN, I think, is what it's called. All right, I'll give about 30 seconds for anyone else who has a question. But the reason I'm doing this video, and I might say this 1,000 times, but the reason I'm doing this live is because I've made a habit. I just do a live at least 1 minute every day. I'll at least go on the camera, talk at least 1 minute every day. And now I've got like 7 videos prepared for my YouTube channel, and I'm making more revenue because I'm getting more views. And it's getting more comfortable for me, right? There's less periods where I'm like, I didn't like how I said that. I need to, my delivery is getting better. The talks are getting better, more free flowing, etc. And it's all just from that just 1 minute. I've been here 28 minutes, but all I told myself is 1 minute. And now I felt like doing 28 minutes. I think that's a very, very powerful principle. Developing good habits and trusting in that momentum will build over time. All right. I give about another 10 seconds if no one else has any questions, and then I will wrap up. But it was good talking to you guys, and I'll see you at least 1 minute tomorrow.